Children of the night, what music they make.
They're all gonna laugh at you!
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
What's up?
I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna bash you a bit.
Final Guys, episode number 110 is live. 2 weeks in a row, no problems. I'm quite happy about this. So this week, we did not get to the theater to see Child's Play, the new one, but we did find the old one on Prime, so yay for free movies. So 31 years later, we'll talk about whether this holds up or not, and whether my wife, who'd never seen it, hated it. Spoiler alert, she did. So, but before we jump into all that, as usual, I am doing a little thing on my blog. Go check it out at my website, authorjasonbrant.com. And that's all I did this week. Jack, Campisi, what do you got?
Hi, I'm Jack, and I'm your friend to the end. You want to play?
That's such a great line. It really is.
There was no way I could get close to a movie theater to see this, and I did not. I actually have not read any reviews about it. So I will say though, after watching and I know we'll get into this later, after watching the original, now I'm really curious to see what they're going to do with this, because it's been a while and I forgot a lot of what happened in this movie. And I'm like, oh, are they going to have the guts to go as far? So we'll see.
I'm looking forward to talking about the same thing, because I was watching this like, oh, I totally forgot about this. It had probably been 20 some years since I watched it. So it was, some of the choices were eye-opening. I'd completely forgotten. So I'm pumped. Anything else going on? Or are we just going to do some
let's dive in.
All right, let me hit the drinking rules quick, as I remembered for the first time ever.
I totally just forgot.
All right, your words are Killer, Mancini, and Scream. Mine are Dorif, Babysitter, and Cult, and the bonus words are Chucky, Doll, and Andy. That's enough to kill anybody who's actually drinking to these rules.
Hunter Shea once again is on the bench, and we'll probably bring him back next week. Although with the holiday, who knows what the schedules will be like. So most likely we'll see him next week. But
yeah, and moving. Who the hell knows if we even have internet?
Yeah.
Particularly if he's using Comcast, those bastards never show up.
Yeah.
All right, hit me with some news.
Okay. I know they said that they were going to end it with Paranormal Activity, the Ghost Dimension, and that 6 movies was enough, but Paranormal Activity 7 is now in development by Blumhouse.
Really?
There's not much detail as to whether they're going to continue the mythology of this one or it's going to be something new. Just that they got an idea or something. And so I think what happened was they were looking at the profits and projections and going, what would be a cheap movie to make that would make a lot of money?
Exactly.
Oh, how about this franchise we own? So I bailed on this. I didn't see the last 2. There was one that seemed like it was like an inner city thing or something.
The marked ones, I think.
The marked ones, and then the Ghost Dimension I didn't see. And they're on. I kind of like, because we have to watch so many damn horror movies for this. It's always on my, some week when I'm slow, I'll watch those and see.
Ghost Dimension is a mess, but it has one of the most beautiful girls you'll ever see in it, so you'll enjoy it.
Sold.
It's terrible. The marked ones was better than some of the ones surrounding it, but again, it wasn't great.
Really? Because the trailer for marked ones was like, this looks horrible.
Well, I think because it didn't have as much of the mythology going on. And the mythology has always been the biggest issue with these movies. It's just a freaking mess. They clearly did not plan on going beyond movie 1, and it shows. So I don't know. I'd be curious if they're going to do some kind of, like you said, are they going to dump this whole thing and start fresh, or I don't know. Be interesting.
I would hope so. There's a million stories you could tell. I'd almost like to see it become more of an anthology thing where just found footage of people doing paranormal investigations and it going to hell is a great premise. I don't feel like every movie has to be related in some way. And
or if you want to do it related, make it loose. I don't know. Like I don't know. I'm sure there's something creative that can be done there, but I don't know. The found footage format to me is something that obviously I watch a lot of those movies. I've really slacked the last 6 months. I don't know why, but man, you could just do something creative if you really worked at it. And it seems like almost nobody does anything creative with that
Yeah.
subgenre. So,
Well, I will say that I forget it. I think it's the third movie, the one with the little girls, has one of my favorite. I love the fan that the father, because it takes place like in the 80s or something.
yeah.
And
They put
so the father
yeah.
takes the old school and he puts it on a fan mount, and then there's a thing where there's like a sheet
Yep.
behind him, and then like all the stuff like falls or something. I remember going, that was a. They did the pans back and forth, and you see nothing, you see something, but
Yeah, they did some cool stuff like that. I think that was probably the second best one. I think it was the third.
yeah, I actually think I like that one the best. The first one, I don't think I'm as high on as other people are. I actually am meaning to go back and watch it again. Hunter saw it in a packed theater,
Me too.
and everybody. I saw it in an empty theater, and so I don't think I got the full effect.
Oh man,
It's-
the people around me were losing their minds. I mean, just scared out of their wits. It was great.
I'll tell you, The Sixth Sense I saw in a packed theater was awesome. A Quiet Place, you can't replicate watching that movie in a crowded theater. And Get Out, another one that really benefited from the whole room was really reacting to it. So this probably is one of those too.
So, did they put a release date on it, or just working on it?
No, they're just working on it. So we'll keep an eye on it.
All right.
Now, this next one, I'm going back to the Black Christmas remake. They have cast somebody else. We knew that Imogen Poots was going to be in it. I'm going to mess up how you say his last name. The Dread Pirate Roberts himself, Carrie Elwes.
Oh
What do you think?
yeah, I always say Elwes, but I have no idea.
Also a great villain in the TV show Psych. Princess Bride fame. You've seen him in a million other things.
Great
Kiss
actor.
the Girls.
Kiss
Saw.
the girls. Yeah, forgot about that.
So we've got the casting is happening. So this thing is moving forward.
That's
and
pretty quick.
It's coming out on Friday the 13th of December. So we're going to get this in time for the end of the year.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I mean, it's just a
it's
slasher,
amazing.
but Jesus. December? Did you say December?
December 13th.
Oh my God, dude. That's shooting it, editing it, releasing it in 6 months. That's madness.
It is. I mean, then they're just casting people.
Right.
But
Like,
I bet they're filming it now and just they have scenes where it's like, okay, we only need the main girls for this scene and we can shoot the father or whatever, the cop
sure.
scenes. Later.
Still. Wow. So
That's very surprising.
I'm looking up the director. She hasn't done much. Something called Always Shine 3 years ago. Never heard of it.
Never heard of that.
Sophia Takal. I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name right, but that movie is on Shudder or Prime. Might have to check it out. I don't know, man. Now I'm getting nervous.
Well, I'm going to not expect much from it and hope I'm surprised.
Like we said last week or 2 weeks, whenever that was, it can't be worse than the remake from 10 years ago.
The good news for us is it gives us something to talk about in December.
That's true.
And you know how we have to, there's going to be all the movies that we didn't get a chance to see that we're trying to jam in at the end of the year. So at least this one will most likely come out in the theater and it'll be easy to check off the list.
That's true. That's a good point. I should not bitch.
Let's see. Last piece of news. Oh, this is one of those things that is this really news, but websites need to print content. And I thought it was interesting because I'm kind of hoping that it happens. They've kept talking about doing a 28 months later, third movie in the 28 days later. And then for a while there, it was like dead. But recently, the two guys who did it, Danny Boyle and Alex Garland, recently they both said that they have an idea for a third one. And they'd like to do it. They're both busy with other stuff, but they'd like to do it. And they said, you never know, we'll see. So that before it was like totally dead. Now it's the board. So I'm thinking there's such a market for this kind of stuff that I bet you this happens in the next year or two.
That would be sweet. I always wondered why they never did it. Did they just not have an idea that worked? Because the first two made good money, right?
I think so. As I've said before, I like the first half of the first one. I think once it gets to the military base or whatever, it kind of slows down for me.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the second one a lot. As a matter of fact, it was on the other day and I watched like 5 minutes of it. And I'm like, man, I need to sit down and watch this start to finish again. This is a really good movie.
That eye scene, man. God damn, it's brutal.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm always in for more. Danny Boyle is great. So Alex Garland, I mean, he's the one who just did Annihilation last year. So he's hitting another level too. So anything those guys do, I'm in.
Yeah. So we'll keep an eye out for that. That would give us something good to watch.
Hell yeah. I'm in. Did it?
All right, that's it. It's all news fit to print.
All right, let's talk about what we watched.
We have such sights to show you.
All right, I packed a bunch of stuff in this week since we were hunterless, so I could pick up his slack. So I'll go first.
Go for it.
I watched To Hell and Back, the Kane Hodder story.
This has been circled on my to-do list.
I think
How is it?
Hunter had watched it, right? Or
I
he
don't
read
think
the,
he
maybe
has.
read the book.
There's a book.
Yeah, okay. I think he read the book. Anyway, this was great. I mean, if you ever wanted to know everything about Kane Hodder, obviously this is your jam. I did not realize all the things that had happened to him. And he even goes into detail about, say, I mean, obviously his burns, getting into the business and all that, and he goes into some bullying in his childhood. But when he went into the Jason versus Freddy versus Jason, what the hell it was called, and he didn't get that role, and everyone was super pissed off. I guess I'd never really thought of it from his perspective. I just assumed he was probably pissed, but he said he was more depressed from that than after 6 months of being in the hospital from almost dying from burns.
Wow.
So, yeah, it really struck me how much it bothered him that he didn't get the role. So, honestly, I love this a lot. It's free on Prime. The biggest issue is it's almost 2 hours long, which for a documentary is freaking long.
That's what has kept me from pulling the trigger on it. I'm like, oh, that's a lot of Kane Hodder for one night.
It's a lot of, oh, God, what's his name? Directed Hatchet, Adam Green. Adam Green's in the movie a lot. And like the fourth time I was thinking, maybe you just try. And I like Adam Green. I'm not shitting on him or anything, but I'm thinking, damn, man, it's like turn him into a sidekick in this movie. But it's totally worth it. You'll love it. They show a ton of his kills from the years, just at different points. Man, I got to go back and rewatch some of those Hatchet movies. There were some insane kills in those.
I only saw the first Hatchet movie.
That's all I saw. But damn, there's some crazy stuff in it. So yeah.
I'll tell you, I saw Freddy and Jason in the theater. Had a blast with it. And I own the DVD. And the thing that sticks in my craw every time I watch it is I hate the way Jason looks. Mm-hmm. And I always wish it was Kane Hodder. Yep. It's a glaring problem in that movie.
It really is. And you can tell. I mean, I just went and watched all the Friday the 13th. As soon as he shows up, the way Jason moves and feels and looks is so different, and it's so much better. The guy just works well in prosthetics and makeup. He really nails it. And I completely agree. That was my biggest issue with Freddy vs. Jason, other than some really terrible CG, was God, Jason just did not have that presence, that, Sherman tank presence.
And that's what Kane Hodder kind of brought, that Terminator body language to him.
Yeah. Yeah, just sitting there breathing heavy as hell, being scary, filling up an entire doorway, Yeah. So it's a real shame. And the thing that pisses me off is all these years later, we still don't know why. And nobody will say why. And it's ridiculous. Guys, it's been 10 years? Longer?
Make another one. Freddie, Robert Englund, he's retired. He'd put the stuff back on.
Hell yeah, I would. More. Hell yeah, I would. Kane would too, obviously. So it's great. Check it out. Free on Prime.
All right. Well, you were talking about how you like found footage movies, so I got something for you.
All right.
It's only about an hour long. And the problem with it is if you Google it, it's going to be hard to find. But if you look on, I have the Amazon box, you'll probably find it in 2 seconds. It's called Found Footage.
I did have trouble finding it. I was trying to get the link, and I was like, what the hell is this movie?
So like I said, it's only like an hour and 3 minutes or something like that. it is almost a companion piece to the Poughkeepsie tapes.
Really?
In that it is basically presented as evidence that a serial killer had a video camera and videotaped his work. And it takes the course over a week or two or a couple of days. It's not that long. Basically, you see him get the video camera, he documents, and so you're kind of watching it, and things are unfolding, whatever. And then like the first kill happens, and the first kill is really brutal.
Ooh.
And every time he
Profound
kills,
footage.
yeah,
Okay.
like it's pretty. It's pretty graphic kills, the stabbings.
All right.
So I'm watching it, and I keep like waiting for this thing to fall apart, and it ends, and I'm like, wow, it was only an hour, so it didn't have any fat on it. It just kind of established some stuff at the beginning, and you got like 15 minutes of, a little. I usually use the term loosely, character development, but then basically it gets going, and then it never really stops. So this is definitely worth a check out. It's only an hour long, and it's like I said, it's in the spirit of the Poughkeepsie tapes, in that it's going to make it kind of makes you uncomfortable because the guy comes off as a normal, maybe a little bit annoying guy, and then when people sort of realize what's happening, it it gets kind of creepy.
Now, how did you select this? Because I'm looking at the poster on Amazon. It looks like shit.
This, I probably stumbled into this by looking at the what else people watch if
Right.
they watch this, or going down those rabbit holes, and then I just bookmark stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, what is this? And then I read the thing. I don't know if there was a trailer or not, and I think I turned it on with the attitude of, I'll give this 5-10 minutes, and if it sucks, I'll bail. And instead I was like, ah. And I like, again, I think it just being an hour was the best thing it could have done.
All right.
And
Yeah.
it's got a pretty it's got a nice little twisted ending to it. So
I might watch that this week then. Like I said, I haven't watched a found footage in forever, so this is great.
yeah.
It's so hard to find one that's an actual gem. So I'm pretty happy about that. And an hour, you said it came out in 2011.
I think that's what.
I think that's how I found it. I put in found footage 2011. They weren't doing movies that were only an hour really then. That's kind of a new Netflix thing, so that's interesting. He was ahead of his time.
Yes.
Speaking of Netflix, I watched another Black Mirror episode. Rachel, Jack, and Ashley 2. It's the one with, what the hell's her name? Miley Cyrus.
Ah.
It was good. I have yet to watch a Black Mirror episode that I didn't think was good, but tonally, it was very different from the rest of the series, and it kind of took me off guard. Again, not that it's bad. I just was expecting, Black Mirror can be really dark. And there was really only one section of this that struck me as disturbing with technology. And it ended up being very similar to kind of what Marvel's doing with some of these Star Wars people. After they're dead, just still using them and creating performances from them, which is weird. So that's kind of what this is about. And it was solid. It was a solid episode. It's over an hour. It's like an hour and 10 minutes. So if you're going to sit down to watch it, you have to basically expect you're going to be putting in movie time. But not bad. Black Mirror keeps going. I'm still on board.
I'm gonna watch the newest 3.
This is one of them. Yeah. I don't know if it's the first, but my wife wanted to watch.
I heard that Miley Cyrus is the worst one out of the new 3.
Well, I hope so. That's the only one I've watched. So if that's the case, I'll be pretty happy. So yeah, we'll see.
Cool. All right. I plowed through season 3 of Jessica Jones.
Oh, okay.
So I am not here to try and convince anybody to watch a Marvel Netflix show, because I think we're at the point where you're either going to watch these or you're not.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really just a matter of what did I think of it. So if you're trying to decide to watch it sooner than later, or you've watched all the Marvel shows and now you're either through with them or on the fence, I can tell you this. Jessica Jones season 1 is perhaps my favorite of all the Marvel Netflix shows.
Okay.
Maybe Daredevil season 1. It was but the Kilgrave villain made that so great
I agree.
that I loved it. Season 2 of Jessica Jones was one of my least favorite of all the seasons of Marvel.
Really? See, I haven't watched 2 yet either. So
2's very forgettable because when they did the recap, I'm like, oh yeah, I can tell you a bunch of stuff that happened in season 1 and season 2. I'm kind of like, oh yeah, I sort of remember that. Oh yeah, that happened because it was just it went on. It was too long. There was when you go from Kilgrave to the villain they had in this, it's not horrible, but it was just so for such a high to go to a low. This one fits nicely in the middle. It's pretty good. It's I would say it's good. If it had been the second season, it would have had a much more better karma because you would have been like, wow, well, the first season was so great. This second season was pretty good. The second season was such a letdown that this was like, am I going to rush to watch this or not? So I did, and I felt like it really got going in the second half. So once again, 13 episodes, probably could have done 10, maybe 11.
I don't understand why every one of their shows does this. It's about 30% too long.
There's some characters they either could have cut out or lessened to get to the same place that they got to. At the same time, like I said, there came a point with maybe 6 episodes left, 7 episodes, where I started being like, oh, I want to watch the next one. I want to watch the next one. And, I might stay up a little later and watch. I got into that, the vibe you like when you're binge watch. Or I would watch 1 or 2 a night and then come back a night or 2 later. I'm not watching 5 in one night or something like that. 2 was like usually the max. But then when I got towards the end, I'd be like, all right, last night I watched 2. I want to watch 2 more tonight or whatever. And I got into that. So, and they definitely end it in a way that if in fact this is the end and they don't bring Krista Ritter back ever again, it ends on I felt like they knew they were ending. So there's a kind of
good. All right. So can I watch season 3 and just watch the recap of season 2? Because I don't really want to dedicate that much time to it.
If you could find a YouTube recap where somebody walks you through it, the recap that they show you on Netflix might be a little light.
Okay.
But if you read like the Wikipedia and found a little recap, the short answer is yeah, probably.
Okay, so just find like a 10-minute YouTube video that covers season 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or I could tell you when we end the show what you need to know.
Okay. Yeah, because I really did enjoy the first one. Same thing you said, 3 episodes too long maybe, and it just because of that I was like, I don't know if I want to watch season 2 right away, and then I completely forgot. Same with I haven't watched is it the second Punisher season?
The second Punisher season is pretty good.
Yeah. So behind.
And the only thing I've still left to watch is the last Daredevil season.
Was that 4?
I think that's the third one.
Third? God, man, I'm so far behind.
Which I've heard good things because they bring the Kingpin back.
Okay. Interesting. All right, yeah, I'll check it out. At least something. I got to get back on it. All right, so I found Unsolved Mysteries, the entire series has been uploaded to YouTube. So it just popped up one day as a recommended. I'm like, what the hell is this? A whole episode? I thought somebody pirated it. And it turns out the entire show, or I think it's the entire show. Obviously, I haven't watched it all. There's something like 600 episodes of Unsolved Mysteries. The whole thing is on YouTube under the channel Film Rise True Crime. And Film Rise is one word. And if you go there, they're up. Okay, the whole thing's not up there yet. It looks like they've uploaded through season 6, 7. No, it keeps going. It might all be on there. So hundreds and hundreds of episodes. So it's one of those that I've been putting it on in the background while I'm writing in the afternoons. And I actually am going to have to stop because it ends up, one of the segments catches me and I'm like, oh. But the cool thing is someone, I guess whoever owns the copyright, has gone back through these old episodes and edited in on the end, this case has been solved, this case has been solved, and this is how. It is shocking how many cases, Unsolved Mysteries, solved, and usually within a week of the broadcast. It's
wow.
It really blew me away. I think it was maybe in season 5. Because I just pick random ones. I'm not going in order. They started it and said, we've solved 200 cases so far. I'm like, what?
They should start a new show, Solved Mysteries.
Seriously. So it really blew me away. And just in watching it, because I don't really watch, I like true crime a lot, but I don't like true crime shows where they do a lot of reenactments. It's cheesy. It's weird. I'm not a big fan. But Unsolved Mysteries, for whatever reason, does an incredible job. And while watching it this time, I think it's because they have a big budget. And you can tell because they're blowing houses up. They're wrecking cars. Freaking Matthew McConaughey shows up at one point as one of the actors. I'm guessing it was probably shot on film just because it looks so good. So it's definitely a cut above everything else. And I've just been loving going back and checking some of them out.
That's Robert Stack, right?
Oh, yeah. Yep. And then they, oh, God, maybe in the 2000s after Robert Stack died, they did have somebody else come in. And his name is escaping me. From Get Shorty, the guy who swears a lot and gets his nose broken.
Oh, yeah, the guy with the mustache. He was on Crime Story.
Yeah, what the hell was his name? Dennis Farina.
Yeah, he's in Manhunter. He plays
so
Jack Crawford.
He did a couple seasons later on, but they were mostly rehashes of previous cases, so it's not really worth watching. But if you love Unsolved Mysteries, YouTube is now a treasure trove of content for that. So enjoy. Yeah,
Robert Stack is my Elliot Ness. A lot of people think of the Untouchables with Kevin Costner.
Yeah,
the original TV show, The Untouchables, was Robert Stack as Elliot Ness.
What a great voice that guy has. I mean, he's got to be in his late 60s, early 70s for most of this show. And with the trench coat and the voice, he always like walks down an alley out of shadows. He just looks like a badass. That's great.
Yeah, don't mess with him. All right. I read a book. I kind of wish Hunter was here because he usually has a cardiac arrest when I say I read a book.
How long does this one take?
This is called Day by Day Armageddon by J.L. Bourne.
All right.
And I don't know what year this book is, but this is a zombie apocalypse book written as if it was a journal. So every day there's an entry by this guy, and he's a military dude. I think he's a Navy SEAL or Navy office. He's in the Navy, but he's like home. And when stuff's going down, so he's bunkered down in his house, and he's got cameras in his yard and stuff, and he's reporting every day in his journal. And then he ends up hooking up with some other people, and then at some point they've got to move, and so it's a lot about like my provisions. I don't want to do this because it's too much of a risk. This is concerning me, and then he'll talk in sort of a military precise way about how to deal with threats and things like that. Then they have to move, and then a lot of stuff happens. I've seen criticisms of this book that there's not a lot of character development, but I think the way it's written, it wouldn't be authentic.
Right. He's not going to talk about how characters are changing over time in his journal.
Yeah. So this very short chapters. I love that. I flew through this book and thoroughly enjoyed it. Now I get to the end of this book, and he essentially is like, yeah, I hope I can keep writing books like this. It's great because it kind of ends on sort of like, it doesn't feel like the end of the story.
Oh, is it a cliffhanger?
But then I find out there's been a couple of books after this, because I got this because a guy I work with was like, oh, I read this great zombie book. And when he said it, I go, oh, I've seen that on Amazon before. So I just pulled the trigger and got it. So I read it, and then I'm like, oh, damn, I had no idea there's a sequel to this. So the sequel just came in the mail. So I'm going to watch. That's going to be my next read. Because now I'm like, well, screw this. It's almost like I read part 1. But if they never did write anything else, this is still a good, like if you need a beach read or something like that, bang through this. And I had a lot of fun with it. It's a good read. Like I said, I felt like I'm no expert on military writing, but it felt pretty authentic as far as, from the guy's perspective.
That's a cool idea for a way to do something different in the zombie genre. So I'll have to check this out. It looks like there are 4 books in the series so far.
Yeah, and I was reading the reviews, and it sounds like the first 2 are the strong books, and then they might take a turn. So we'll see. if I read the entire series, but I'm definitely going to read the sequel.
Okay, yeah, I'm seeing here book 3 is rated lower, but then book 4 is the highest rating of all of them. So who knows? I'm going to check that out. That looks cool. I just started reading this terrible freaking book. It's called Creature. It's going to take me like 6 months. I mean, I
panned that book.
It's the worst. All right, so I have a video game. Yay! I started playing a game I actually played before called Dying Light. It's a zombie series. You're stuck in a city that's overrun by zombies, and you're looking for some drugs that keep people from turning and things like that. But the twist is, at night, these vampire-like creatures come up from the shadows, and they're basically invincible and will just murder the shit out of you. And there's great parkouring in this game. There's so much freaking story. It's crazy. So, like I said, I've played it before, but in playing it again this time, I'm really reminded how much this is like my series, The Hunger, with the vampires at night and the zombies during the day. Thank God that came out before this game. Otherwise, people would completely think I ripped it off. So it's really cool. So if you haven't played it, I think it's on sale right now, actually. I play it on PC. I don't know. I don't play on Xbox or anything, but pretty cheap. Ton of content in this game. I mean, it'll take hours and hours and hours and hours to beat it. And that's just the main story. Tons of branching different storylines and cool little side gigs. So hellacious fun. Dying Light.
Cool.
Dig it.
I got one more thing I want to talk about quickly.
All right.
I read a short story that I purchased on Amazon called Because Spiders by Pamela Morris.
Oh, God.
Now,
all right.
She happens to be the cult leader of our little chat room community. And while I know a lot of people who write stuff, and it's hard to get to everybody's stuff, and I want to read more of her stuff. And I will say this, by reading Because Spiders, I definitely want to read more of her work. She is a great writer.
Is this the first one of hers you've read?
This is the first thing I've read. And This is a very quick read. And I equated it to almost like watching a Tales from the Dark Side. So there's a little eight-legged freaks and a little taste of Stephen King in this. But I read it in one sitting, and I don't usually buy short stories off Amazon.com. And I'm very glad I read this. I banged it out on my Kindle, and a good read. And as far as spider, I've read a couple of spider-themed books, and some of them do a better job than others. I read a whole book that was about spiders that I thought was just okay. This, because it's so short, she got in and out and had just enough creepiness to it. And I don't think you probably needed a whole book for this story. So it was good. So listen, I think if you're you got to jump on a plane and you're looking for something to read, this would be a perfect thing. Or if you're, like I said, it's summertime now, you want to sit on the porch one afternoon. This might not be the best thing to read if you're in the woods, in a lodge, reading, because you're never going to want to sit down or go to the bathroom ever again. Because this will definitely get you looking at the little shadows on the wall.
All right. Well,
so check it out.
I just bought it on Amazon, so I will.
Excellent. So well done, Ms. Morris. Cheers.
Yeah, you just got a sale. There you go. All right, I've got one more thing. I read a novel too called Descent by Tim Johnston. And I do not read literary fiction. It's not my bag. So somehow I've read 2 books back to back now that were literary horror. The first being Sheridan's book, and then this. But I got to tell you, I'm starting to think maybe I do like literary fiction because those are 2 books back to back that I've enjoyed. So I don't know. The only thing is, I'm such a terrible reader. I read so slowly that when the writing is this dense, it takes me forever to get through it. But this book is killer. I love it. It's a storyline you've probably read in a dozen other books, but his writing and his characters in particular are great. It's basically about a boy and girl, both teenagers. They go on a hike while the family's on vacation up in the Rockies, and the boy's hit by a car in the middle of nowhere, and the driver kidnaps the girl, and then the family ends up staying behind in the Rockies and looking for her for years. And most of the book is just about that family slowly dissolving and just falling apart under the weight of having their teenage girl kidnapped and just gone. So it goes back and forth primarily from the mother's POV a little bit, not a lot, but it's the father and the son and then the kidnapped girl later, and it's damn good. I mean, the guy will have a sentence that's literally a paragraph long. And it's just like, God, this is not my style of writing. I cannot stand this shit. And yet I just blasted through the book because the story was that good. So
wow. The book I read is the complete opposite of that.
That's more my speed. I'm a simple man. I like simple sentences. So, but this is really good. I got it on sale for like $1 or $2 a couple months ago and just got around to reading it. So check out Descent by Tim Johnston. All right. I'm done. That was a lot.
All right.
You ready?
Let's do it.
Let's do some Child's Play.
You like scary movies?
Uh-huh.
What's your favorite scary movie?
I don't know.
You have to have a favorite. What comes to mind?
I'm not sure why I said it like Child's Play. That was really bizarre.
Child's Play.
Yeah. So for the 3 people who have never actually seen this movie but listened to our show, can you give us a short synopsis?
Serial killer being chased by a cop runs into a toy store and conveniently transfers his soul into a doll after being shot.
Voodoo.
And then the doll is adopted by a kid, and the kid is terrorized by the doll.
Yep.
That's
There
your movie.
You nailed it. So how long had it been since you had seen this before?
Probably 1988, 89. I saw this like once.
Really?
Yeah, I saw Child's Play once, maybe twice. I don't know.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, I think I discovered it in high school. So it would have been mid to late 90s. And then I watched it several times because I really liked it. And I caught it maybe even before high school, pretty young. So it had scared me. And then nothing since. So this was... Well, let's just go right into it. What did you think?
I'm really glad I revisited this because I think most Chucky... I haven't seen all the Chucky movies. I don't think. Many of them I would see when they came on cable or maybe rent once.
Mm-hmm.
And then I never really revisited it. And if one was on, I might leave it on. But I never had anything against Chucky, but I never also had any sort of affinity for it.
Yep, same.
I like Tom Holland a lot. He did Fright Night.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been in listening to podcasts and some other stuff, kind of like, you know what? I need to go back and watch Child's Play again because I like this guy and I like what he does. And I'm very glad we went back and watched this because I actually was like, oh, I think I like this movie even more now because I think I'm watching it with the eyes of now I've listened to guys on the filmmakers and they're kind of like guys like us who got a budget and we're like, yeah, we wanted to make a movie about a killer doll. So, how are we going to do this and that? And so I'm watching it almost as a filmmaker as well as a fan. And I'm watching it going, so you got Chris Sarandon, you got Brad Dourif who's crushing it.
Mm-hmm.
And you really get appreciation for how great Brad Dourif is as Chucky's voice.
Yep. It's actually disconcerting because when you see him at the beginning, I feel like his voice does not match his body. I don't know why.
Yes, it doesn't. It does not at all. Well, and also Chris Sarandon is doing this weird.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's trying to do a Chicago accent because he doesn't sound anything like Prince Humperdinck or Jerry Dandridge.
Yeah. At the beginning, I was watching thinking, is he dubbed? I mean, that doesn't sound like him at all, but I'm pretty sure it was just him doing a voice.
Yeah. So the top line is I'm very happy he went back to watch this, especially now whenever I see this next one, whether it's next week or sometime soon, I'll be able to remember or see the references they make to the original. And I'm really curious to see how much Mark Hamill. One of the great things about this movie is just how graphic Chucky speaks.
Mm-hmm.
He is just dropping F-bombs and like calling the mom a bitch and stuff. And I was like, oh my God, that's what's so great about the movie. Like when he first like talks to the mother, he was like, that's like the best part of the whole movie.
Yeah. No, I agree. He really goes off on her. So I liked this a lot. I had forgotten the voodoo stuff, which I'll go into a little later. But I just, the work they did with the doll, and I think they had a little dude running around dressed like Chucky at times.
Yes,
And,
which was awesome.
but they did such a good job blending the size and the movement and everything. I mean, this movie was made 31 years ago. It's not like tech was killer back then. So they pulled off some really cool stuff. There's some goofy stuff, but they did some fun stuff. And as far as killer doll movies, I mean, this is the pinnacle, right? This is the gold standard. And everyone involved is great. I'll tell you what, the kid surprised me. Because at the beginning, he flubbed a line or two and was kind of wooden. I was thinking, oh, God, freaking kid actors. He's killing it at the end. He really dialed it in. He was crying and barricading doors and doing all kinds of stuff. And just, I was super happy with this. It was better than I expected.
So this is a 30-something-year-old movie. Are we just spoilers the whole time, or are we?
You know what? Yeah. If you haven't seen Child's Play, come on. The hell, why are you listening to us? Go watch it.
Right.
It's free on Prime. Just go watch it.
Right.
So
yes, I forgot the voodoo part. And
it's so silly.
One of the things, well, first of all, because at the beginning of the movie, when he just like Brad Dourif gets shot, grabs a doll, is like starts chanting, and I'm going. I remember wondering, like, that's convenient that he knows how to do that.
Yeah.
And so then I'm like, oh, that's right. The whole idea of the kid getting on a train and going to like whatever south side of Chicago or whatever, and that's scarier than any doll. I'm like, oh my God. And then he goes to take a leak, which I felt was one of the most like realistic things. Like, oh, little kid was on a train all day, whatever. So he puts Chucky down in the junk pile and goes around the corner to take a leak. Like he can't take the doll with him. He's gonna leave him over here while Chucky goes into the house. Oh, this is not the voodoo part. This is when he goes to get his accomplice,
the driver.
Yeah. And he cuts the stove line. And when the stove blows up, it's like a freaking daisy cutter fell on that house. It's the biggest explosion in the world.
Yeah. They definitely blew a house up there. That was that was not an effect. Yeah, that was cool. I thought this did not make Chicago. It did not paint it in the best light for the 80s. I mean, it looked like shit.
Rats.
Oh man, did this look bad. Every place they went into, I'm like, good Lord, why did anybody live here? It's just the worst.
Well, I had a friend who lived in Chicago, and he actually had like a map, and it like circled like parts that he was like, yeah, I don't go here. I don't go here. I was like, wow. So
it's like today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Places you don't want to go.
One thing that struck me about this movie, though, is, correct me if I'm wrong, but Chucky only killed like 3 people in this movie.
Yeah. Not much of a Freddy, Jason kind of vibe.
The later movies, the body count goes way up.
As they get way more cartoonish, too.
Yeah.
This one was almost as if they were taking it seriously, minus the voodoo part. What if a doll came to life? How many people could it actually kill? It's a freaking doll.
He bites a lot of people.
He does. A lot of diving at people until they get their hands on him and throw him against a wall.
Yes.
Yeah, the body count really isn't high. It's more just centered around this family more than anything. I mean, Chucky's not even in it that much. It's really the last act when he's running around all over the place.
Now, the other thing is, maybe there's 4 people, because there's the doctor that he puts the electric shock thing on.
Yep.
So that doctor guy who was like watching the interrogation of the kid is like, I've seen enough. I believe that is the guy who played Jack McGee, the guy who was chasing David Banner in the Hulk TV series.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, I haven't seen that since I was 10.
If I didn't go back, I'm like, I think that's Jack McGee from the Hulk. I got to go back and double check it.
Oh man. Okay. I haven't seen the Hulk in so long.
If it's not him, it's another character actor that's been in something I know, but I'm pretty sure it was Jack McGee.
Well, just that doctor where they take this kid and just put him in a freaking jail cell. When the doctor goes to talk to him, there are bars over the windows and the door, and it's just this little kid's just locked up in solitary almost. I don't know what kind of hospital this is.
And it's almost clever writing in that takes the kid out of the equation for a little while, so that the doll can do his thing with going to the voodoo guy and all the other stuff, and the mom and Chris Sarandon can talk and have their thing and not be like, well, where's the kid? Because his babysitter was thrown out the window.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I thought they did a good job with that. I thought they did a good job with Chris Sarandon's character, too. He basically believes nothing until he literally sees the doll running. It doesn't matter how many clues are stacking up. He's like, get away from me, lady. I thought that was...
Which is how it ought to be.
Yes. Yeah, who's going to believe that a doll came to life? Yeah. I think the partner guy even said at the end, when they said, do you believe me now? And he said, yeah, but who's going to believe me? Like, yep, you're all going to the loony bin if you run with this story.
When Chris Sarandon's driving the car and Chucky is attacking him with the knife through the seat, that's like the best. He's like, it's total, like, trying to, and Chucky's going under the seat with it. That's so great. I totally forgot about that.
I did too. What a good way to make it. Why doesn't he just stop the car? Because he can't even sit down.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to get a knife in the ass.
Now, the other thing was the mother, to me, a lot of people think of her from Seventh Heaven. But to me, she's the Oceanographic Institute lady from Star Trek 4, who has a photographic memory. I see words.
Dude, it's been so long since I've seen that. She's the Child's Play lady to me.
No, to me, she's Star Trek 4. And like I said, to most people, she's the mother in Seventh Heaven. She's another one, though, that no matter when she's in Star Trek or she's in this, an Adam West-like commitment to the material. She is just totally like selling you on, I love my kid, this doll's life. Like she just like she's all in.
His batteries weren't in, he's alive. It's just like, what? Yeah, she's not making fun of the material at all. Yeah, she's in. You're 100% right. I did want to go back to the voodoo part a little bit, because it is so silly to watch it today, but you kind of have to remember, in the 80s, this is when everyone was convinced that devil worshipping cults were killing people all over the country, and that voodoo dolls and voodoo priestesses and shit were just rampant, and that they worked, and UFOs were all over the place, and Bigfoot and all this shit. So I can definitely see how it fit in much more at the time, but watching it now in 2019, it's like, man, this is ridiculous. This dude in Chicago just knows voodoo, and then he goes to his voodoo priest to figure out how to get his soul back out of the doll's body. It's just nuts.
Yeah, that whole thing. I was getting, because one of the problems is like it's also blurry. So there was things I'm like, I can't remember if that was from Child's Play 1, 2, 3, whatever. And then I'm like, oh yeah, okay. Or even like the voodoo part, I'm like, was that from Child's Play or some other movie? Because I've seen so many damn movies, and this has that 80s
fit.
Yeah, but you need to have it though.
I'll be curious. Do you think in the remake they abandon the voodoo plot and do it some other way?
Based on the commercials, it looks like Chucky is some kind of AI.
Oh, really? Okay. I haven't seen any trailers, nothing. I didn't even know Aubrey Plaza was in this until she popped up on YouTube doing some interview. I know nothing, but just watching this, I'm like, there is no way they can do a freaking voodoo mind meld thing with a doll again. I could be wrong, but
if you're going to have two franchises running parallel to each other now with the same concept and characters, at least maybe don't duplicate the voodoo stuff that the original's sticking with, and do something else with it. Because then also with the sequels, you can, if they do sequels to I would imagine with Mark Hamill, they've got a bankable thing there. But why would they go down the same road? Like now you need a Bride of Chucky or whatever it was, with the new one.
Bride of Chucky. Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea if they planned on sequels or not. So it made $14.1 million this weekend, making it the best start of the franchise yet. It's up to $15.6 million on a $10 million budget. So
what's the Rotten Tomatoes score?
I did not look. Give me 1 second. Rotten Tomatoes, 62%, and a 6.5 on IMDb. That's pretty high for any horror movie, let alone a Chucky movie. I don't know. We might get more. So
This
now-
one has the charm to it, though. This has that
Yeah.
80s charm.
It
It
does.
fits right in with the rest of the genre, with Freddy, Jason, Evil Dead, all that stuff. This has a place that video. Let's rent a movie tonight. Killer doll. Listen, somebody was going to do the killer doll at some point. This is the one that it happened. And actually, the fact that they could have really, the fact that they strayed off with Chucky going after his crime partner and the voodoo thing, instead of really just, they could have just kept the whole killer doll thing in the realm of the kids and all that other stuff and everything.
Mhm.
I kind of like that this is a very simple tale. The killer puts his soul in a body, and now he's just trying to get out. And the kid is just, at first it's just get out of my way. Then it's, oh damn, I need this kid.
Mhm. Yeah, that's probably why the voodoo thing is there. How do we get him in the doll, and then why does he keep going after the family later on? So they had to come up with some kind of bizarre concept to make it work. I did want to mention too, I think the end of this movie is great. The whole fight between the family and Chucky in the apartment is so well done. It's mind-blowing what they were able to pull off and make it look so good. I loved it.
Yeah, because you think about how, if you go back and watch Pet Sematary now, they really struggled with Gage and the puppet Gage and all that.
Mhm.
This is much less. When somebody is holding Chucky and appearing to fight with him, the way they cut it fast and the combination of ways they trick you with the doll, it
Yeah.
very seldom takes you out of it.
Yeah.
And like you said, the using a person in a Chucky outfit in one cut, then switching. And then I noticed sometimes the way the furniture was set up, it was almost like a Muppet set. You'd be like, well, there's a chair. So they had a boxed area where you couldn't see Chucky's legs.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, they were definitely doing some stuff. Particularly when he's like running at them when it's the doll. Yeah, they're doing some stuff. Yeah, they did. I don't know who the little guy in the outfit was, but he did a very prolonged burn in that apartment. Like that guy was on fire a long freaking time. He had to climb up over furniture and back down the other side. It was well done. That was a good stunt.
Yeah, the ending, the climax of the movie is a lot of fun. And the fact that like Chris Sarandon gets cut and it takes him out. Like like actually he gets hit on the head too.
Yeah.
But like the wounds weren't just like, there's just some movies where somebody gets shot and like the last week of The Ranger, right? Because his foot cut off and then he's driving a car 5 minutes later.
Yeah, he's pretty good shape. So I had two issues with the end of the movie. And one was Chris Sarandon. He gets cut and he gets hit on the head. But then he wakes up and he's talking to the family and Chucky shows back up and he does nothing for the rest of the movie. The family's running around and he's just laying there. He's not even like, hey, he's not trying to read nothing. He's just hanging out. It's almost like they forgot to shoot with him that day or whatever. But the other part that's hilarious is his partner shows up.
The super 80s guy?
Yeah. He shows up into the apartment and this woman is pointing a gun at him. And he's like, hey, whoa, what's going on? And when she lowers it, he's just like, oh, hey. And he just walks in as if he's not a cop with somebody pointing a freaking gun at him.
Yes.
It was a murder suspect.
But he also looks like a mall photographer or a limo driver from the 80s. Like
Yeah, he doesn't seem to be a very good cop in this movie.
Does he get killed?
No,
he doesn't get killed.
No, nobody dies at the end of the movie. Everybody lives.
Yeah, I was really surprised by how few people got it.
Yeah, not a big death toll in this. I also noticed Chucky was a little strong at the end. He was pulling that door open from some people holding it. It's like, oh.
That was the thing. Chucky's abilities varied from shot to shot. Yeah,
it wasn't terrible, but he definitely was a little stronger at times. But, I'm nitpicking. I'm nitpicking a 31-year-old low-budget movie.
Well, they were saying that he's becoming human.
Right. Yeah, maybe he's getting stronger.
So, first of all, I was like, well, damn, Pinocchio. All you needed was some voodoo to become a real boy. I beg of you.
Oh, that was so cheesy. The lightning and the explode. Oh man, that intro. It's amazing. So I have not seen obviously 2 or 3 or probably 4 since high school as well. I'm curious. I don't know how much I want to go revisit them or not, because I remember. Oh God, was it 3 that was in the toy factory, like where they manufactured them?
One's in the military academy. Is that the second one?
I feel like that's the second one.
The second one,
Could be wrong.
our pal Steve Barnard, that's like his favorite one out of the whole series.
Okay, maybe I should watch it.
So I definitely want to go back to that. And then, I don't know. This has now got me where I'm like, okay, I watched the last couple of Chucky movies.
Mm-hmm.
And the ones that were on TV all the time were the Jennifer Tilly ones.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I saw some of those and to varying degrees of interest.
Yeah, I never got into them, to be honest.
So, but I definitely want to go back and watch part 2 sometime in the next couple of months.
Do we know if Tom Holland did it? I really know nothing about it.
I don't know.
I will look it up. But yeah, I'm for something we just picked on the weekend because it was like you couldn't make it to the theater. We got to pick something. Oh, Child's Play's on Amazon. Let's do that. Super happy with how this turned out.
Me too. And like I said, going in now, there's going to be little references to the first movie that I never would have remembered. And I can't believe how much of this movie I just flat out forgot.
The voodoo stuff really took me off guard, dude. Like, what the hell?
It's like I kind of remember the beginning of the movie and the end of the movie and a little bit of the apartment stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it, I was, like I said, just blurred into, oh, that's this movie. Oh, I don't remember that. And who knows? But this was definitely a good one to go back and watch. It gave me a more of appreciation for Chucky as a character. Because like I said, Brad Dourif just like, the way he would just swear at the mother or with the kid and stuff like that. Like, oh, Chucky's just like really raw and uncensored. I like this guy.
Yeah, when his head would turn and look at someone and he would just verbal diarrhea at them. It was great. I did notice some of the doll facial features. You can tell the movie's getting older. It was like, oh yeah, they had to use big giant, electronics back then to move this stuff. I can't imagine the cabling running to that doll must have been freaking huge.
Yes.
So, I felt like it was starting to show its age a little bit, but not as bad as you would expect. It really does. It really does. So I was happy with it. All right. So we're hoping to get to see Child's Play this week, but we'll see. Stay tuned.
Yeah, right, I don't even know what else is coming out. We need to find out everybody's schedule. We need to find out what's playing. So we'll keep an eye on our Facebook and our Twitter. We'll tell you what's coming. But it could possibly be this movie, the remake of this.
Follow us, like us, review us, whatever you feel like doing. We appreciate it. I will have more book reviews up on Final Guy's website this week. I haven't been able to put any up lately because of my stupid blog. But back to it this week. Anything else?
All right. No, that's it. I'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.